Okay, we are back to Wings Over Broadway for our football recap preview show. Actually, the high school sports or whatever sport season we're in. I'm Andy Morales, my brother Javier Morales, Troy Hutchinson. We're the high school prep youth sports part of All Sports Tucson, and we're going to quickly run through last week. Any surprises that you saw from last week?
Well, last week, Casa Grande went on the road to Walton Grove and beat them 33-21. I think everybody thought Walton Grove was going to handle business, especially at home, but Casa Grande, they came to play, and their defense really slowed down Walton Grove and their dynamic duo.
And obviously Sabino took care of Catalina Foothills, Tucson High won. CDO took care of Push Ridge. It's just Bisbee and Benson are now 3-0. I don't know. Do you see any Pueblo took care of Choya? You think it was just a continuation of what we thought it was going to be like week, or did anything stick out for you, Javier?
It was what we thought it would be. We got to talk about Rincon beating Tanca Verde last week to go to 2-1. Cienega going to 1-2 is kind of not too much of a surprise because of who they played, and they lost to Sunny Slope and Centennial. But they're traditionally not a 1-2 team. Going to that game where they played Centennial and they lost pretty handily, Pat Nugent was very upset about his offense and about the offensive line. And one of the good things that came out of it was the quarterback play. They have three quarterbacks basically. One of them unfortunately got hurt in Montana. But the second and third string quarterbacks that played well under the circumstances, so he has a choice to go forward. Daniel Montana got a concussion, the starting quarterback, so he's probably not going to play this week. But the two guys that he played in that place did really well, including Bobby Belts, the guy who ended up the game. Very athletic, a good arm, and he's a gamer, so. He's gonna challenge Rincon's defense, but like I was telling Coach Strack, Cienega has the tradition, Rincon has the confidence now to go up against that. So it's going to be an interesting matchup.
And then this week we have a lot of good matchups. It's hard to say, midway through. It's going to be midway through, and who is this? Like we were discussing earlier. Obviously, it's CDO, Saguaro, South Point, teams like that are the top. But who's going to be the next group of teams? And right away we have Tucson High and Mountain View Miranda. That used to be a big game. But let's go down to Buena, Desert View, both 2-1. The 5A, no team has stepped out yet to say, hey, we're going to take control of 5A in the South. So that all of a sudden is a big game to play in the Desert View game. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I was able to go down to Buena's practice yesterday, and Giovanni Barbone is our player of the week. He had over 220 yards in passing and rushing. He's a senior leader, 4-year starter. It's going to be interesting that them going to Desert View. They've won their games on the road this year. They lost big to Saguaro at home, so they're not hesitant at all about going on the road and playing at Desert View. Desert View's on an upstart also. We had Serge Boe here 3 weeks ago as our player of the week. I was impressed with Desert View's athleticism, so it's going to be interesting to see Desert View's speed and athleticism going against Buena's size on defense, and the leadership and the veterans that Buena has going against Desert View's upstart players. He has a primarily junior team, sophomore and junior team. We'll see how Desert View can hold up under those circumstances.
And then the next game on our spotlight is probably Pueblo at Sunnyside. Pueblo's 3-0, and they played with grit, just like Brandon Sanders. And I saw them play with Choya. Choya lost their best player on the first kick. We went down with an injury, but they hung with Pueblo for a few minutes. But Pueblo just overpowered them, and they're now 3-0. So we're talking earlier about who would be the coach of the year at this point. Brandon Sanders is one of those coaches. and it's going to be a difficult game for Sunnyside. It's one of the last interconference games. Obviously, Preble's 4A, Sunnyside is 5A, and now teams are looking at their PowerPoint situation. But 1992 was the last time Pueblo started out 4-0, so it's the possibility is right there. And then we go to Walden Grove, and Nogales we touched on Walden Grove. Nogales is 3-0, but they barely beat Rio Rico. What do you see anything from this game?
Well, you know, Nogales is 3-0, but you made the point of barely beating Rio Rico. I think for Walden Grove, this is a huge mindset game. You got, they lost at home in kind of a surprising fashion. So how do you handle that when not only were you expected to win, but you thought you probably would win that game big? Credit goes to Casa Grande and their defensive coaching staff, their head coach. They do a great job there. But I think the first couple quarters of that game is going to be telling. If it's close, it could be a long night for Walton Grove, where it comes down to the last possession. If they come out on fire, go up, let's say 17-0 real quick, then they got back on track.
And then we're heading back to South Point. Had that weird bye week because the team in Texas, they couldn't play them, but now they're back. They're going to be hosting Cactus, which they're ranked right behind South Point in the media polls. Scottsdale as well as South Point and Cactus, both undefeated. I'm going to be at the game. Troy's going to be at that game. So Bijan's back. Bijan is he's only 536 yards away from setting a big school rushing record. Big school is 4A, 5A, 6A. And that's a big mark because you're talking about all the big running backs the state has had. And I'm not going to say he's going to get in that game. He came close 2 weeks ago and he almost got 500 yards in one game. But it's going to me, it's going to be exciting just to watch all that talent on that field.
Not only, you know, Bijan out there, but the days they are making this is their first game where they're eligible. Will they start? I don't know, you know, maybe they have to wait a week to get integrated back into the system. But, I mean, you have a lot of storylines in that game. And Cactus, they're 3-0 right now. I think they're one spot ahead of South Point, or they're right there. So it's also big in terms of rankings for South Point. It's at home at South Point. And I saw on Twitter it's going to be a whiteout that night, so the crowd should be amped up and ready to go. And like you were saying, Bijan 2 weeks ago put up that huge rushing record for almost 500 yards, 430. So I think he's going to have another big game, maybe close to that number, but we'll see.
South Point is coming off an off week. Cactus played last week, so it's going to be interesting to see how they're fresh. They're at home. Cactus, they barely beat a Catalina Foothill team that is struggling. So I would think that South Point's going to take care of business there. And like Troy said, I think Bijan will have another big game. It's interesting to say that in 4 weeks of the season, he's not the leading rusher in Tucson. Isaiah Davis is a Saguaro, but that's not going to happen very much longer because of the way the schedule played out. Bijan's going to be pulling out some big numbers here pretty soon.
The next game is CDO 4-0 at Amphi 3-1, and this is one of those classic rivalries, Amphi School District rivalry. But we're talking about Coach of the Year. Dustin Peace is doing all this without Rocker. His Gavin Davis has stepped in nicely. So I think it might be close earlier, but the Dorados haven't seen 5-0 since 2010, and I think it's going to happen again. It's just a powerful team, and it's amazing how quickly they were able to recover from losing one of the best running backs in the state. And that's going to be a big game.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game, and for Amphi, I mean, a chance to go 4-1. I don't think Amphi has done that in a while, going 4-1. But CDO, they're rolling right now with Gavin Davis, like you were saying, and at the beginning of the year, when you looked at their schedule, seeing Stevie Rocker going down, I don't think anybody would have had them at possibly a 5-0 start for the year. So I think that Peace has that team really gelling right now. Not only are they playing great football, but I think they are playing great team football.
Amphi has a couple of X factors. First of all, they're at home, and then their defense is playing really well. Isaiah Escalante is the leading sacker in Southern Arizona. Julian Encinas had 11 tackles with 2 for loss last week. So, and then we had Coach Mendevi last week here, and he commented about how impressed he is with his defense. So, if their defense is able to do what they're supposed to do, that game's going to be close, and it could come down to the last quarter, and it's at Amphi, so who knows on that.
And then Blue Ridge at Sabino, big game for Sabino, 3A game. Blue Ridge is 4-0. Sabino took care of Blue Ridge handedly last year. It's going to be, Sabino and South Point are like game of the weeks every Friday. You could camp out at those schools, which wouldn't be fair to other schools, but it's just incredible what McBrayer has coming down to Sabino. And I see Sabino coming out of this game again. And then we skip down to, eventually, we have Benson at 3-0 and Bisbee at 3-0 in 2A. And they're going to meet in October 18th. And I think that's probably going to be the game of the year for the small schools in Southern Arizona. We might have to make a trip out to that. And you want to talk about that?
Yeah, Bisbee, they have the leading receiver in Southern Arizona, Dano Lopez, and he's also the leading interception person or player in Southern Arizona. So he's quite an athlete. He's a senior. Benson has some really good players. So that's going to be, you mentioned October 17th, so that's another, 2-3 weeks. They might be both 5-0 at that time, so that's building up to be a big game. It'd be interesting to see if that gets to that point, because not a lot of people know about 2A football here. They know that Santa Rita is 2A, but they don't know very much about Benson and Bisbee. So it'd be good to see teams like that get some notoriety. And they have some really good players on those teams that'll get some notoriety, and that'd be great to see.
Yeah, Mitch Hoops from Bisbee. That Bisbee got a golden football from the NFL because he played for the Cowboys, and they lost to my Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl, but he got to play in the Super Bowl. He punted for U of A, and I think U of A could probably use him now. And Cameron Foothills 1-3. They have a bye. I think they really need that bye to refocus. And then looking at next week, we have tons of byes because it's the midway point, mostly in the 4A. Marana, Flint Wells, Troy, they're 5A, but they have a bye week. Amphi, Douglas, Eureka, and CDO all with byes next week. But I'm looking at games, South Point at Tucson, Nogales Empire, Desert View at Iron Ridge is going to be a good game, Saguaro Sunnyside, Rincon Palo Verde is going to be a big game. What jumps out at you at next Friday? I know we're looking way ahead, but there's almost a full slate. Of course, we're missing a lot of games on there.
I think the two that really jump out to me is the South Point and Tucson High games. At Tucson High, so central Tucson, we get a lot of people there, and we talk about the only 6A school in Tucson versus possibly the best team in Tucson. And last year, I believe South Point won 27-3. So that game was close for a while, but they also did it without Bijan and the backup on deck. That the name escapes me right now. But also Saguaro at Sunnyside, having to travel to the south side, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Sunnyside playing a little bit better football. Saguaro had that close game last week, so let's see how they bounce back. It wasn't supposed to be close, but it was 20-13 against Tempe on the road.
And San Manuel at Santa Rita. Santa Rita's a good chance to win 2 games in 1 year. That's going to be a big game. Anything you're looking forward to next week, the week after this Friday?
I noticed that Sabino goes to play Benjamin Franklin. That's could be another statement game for Sabino to show that they've come in on the way back after that Saguaro loss. They put up a good statement against County and Foothills, the way that AJ Skaggs came back and led them to the win there. I think that game will be interesting to see. It's in Phoenix, so if Sabino is able to take care of business there, after they take care of business this week, that's 2 more wins, and then they're on the winning streak again after they, like, same thing as last year when they lost to Saguaro. They put together a 10-game winning streak, and it looks like they could be on that same kind of path again with some of the talent that they have on the team, especially on defense. Whenever you have a good defense, any game could be won.
I know you've been keeping track of the individual statistics. Anything that jumps out from last week or from the whole year? I know you talked about Dano from Biz Benson having the leader, but we have a couple of kids. We have Preston here from Rincon. He's in the top 10 for rushing. Anything else jumps out at you?
There are a lot of players that are top 10 in different categories, a lot of standouts. The Sunnyside Pueblo game that you mentioned earlier is going to be interesting because Sunnyside has some good offensive production players, like Angel Cano, the Dion Condes, the freshman quarterback. They put up some good yardage, and Pueblo's strength is their defense. So I talked to Brandon Sanders at practice the other day, and he's got that team with the mindset that nothing's going to stop them. They take on his personality, and you know how Brandon Sanders is. So they work those kids hard, and I think it's going to be interesting. If Sunnyside, on the flip side, if Sunnyside keeps that game close and is competitive, then that means that Glenn Posey's already working his magic, because this is a game where Pueblo should go in there and win. Not easily, but they should go in there and win. But if Sunnyside keeps it close and competitive, it'll say something about the job that Posey's doing. I'm really looking forward to going to that game. It's going to be very competitive. Two South Tucson teams. There's going to be a lot of people there. So it's one of those highlight games that I'm looking forward to seeing.
One thing that jumps out to me rushing-wise, if you look at the rushing stats, CDO, not only do you have Galvin Davis, 462 yards, but at the bottom there, you have Montana for CDO rushing for 343 yards. So you're talking about over 700, close to 800 yards of total rushing with your star player out. So they're not finding a different way. They're doing the same thing that they've always done, rush the football. It's just now, when Rocker comes back, you have three guys that you can rely upon running the football. It doesn't all have to go to Stevie.
All set? Excuse me. So my name is Andy Morales, and my brother Javier Morales, for Hudson. We're at the Wings Over Broadway football preview show, and this is all gearing up. Every week we're going to be here Thursday nights. We're going to pick players to come and talk to us, and that's all leading up to the Froggenfork All-Star Week in December, where we're going to host all the All-Stars. And please keep track of our webpage and have a good time Friday night. Talk to you later. Thank you.